This is Focus, the video news magazine of Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering, with your host, Alan Peacock. TTA has a new name and a new logo. It's official. We're now Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering. Why the name change? Focus reporter Xavier Coleman explains in Rebranding the Tiger. That's not all that's new at TTA. Take a look at the ongoing renovation that began this year with 2 brand new hallways and new classrooms and labs. The change is dramatic, and there's even more to come. Focus reporter Andrew Shan takes you on a tour with our Extreme Makeover-School edition. TTA doesn't have a dedicated music or theater program, but we do have many talented students, and that became clear at last year's talent show. One 8th grader, in particular, rocked the house with his amazing voice and talent. Focus reporter Brendan Welly was the co-host for the show and introduces you to the voice that roared. Now, from the campus of Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering in Toledo, Ohio, here's your host for this edition of Focus, Alan Peacock.
Welcome to the first edition of Focus for the new school year. We have 3 all-new stories to share and a totally new Focus News team. Speaking of new, TTA has a new look and a new name. We are now officially Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering, and we have a redesigned logo. There's a reason behind this change, and Focus reporter Xavier Coleman explains in Rebranding the Tiger.
TTA officially became a TPS magnet school in the fall of 1997, and our home has always been right here in the stately DeVilbiss High School building. Over the years, there's been some confusion with our name, specifically the word technology. It has many different meanings, so this year, we officially became the Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering.
Recently, we changed our name from Toledo Technology Academy to Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering. Why did we do this? Well, because everybody thought technology was affiliated with something either from computers to informational technology. It had really nothing to do with what we do. So what do we do here? We're affiliated with manufacturing engineering. So it just seemed logical for us to say Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering.
Back in the day, as a new school, one of the first orders of business was to create a logo and a mascot. TTA's Ted Richardson came up with the solution.
We were using some stock clip art, and it was old-fashioned, dull, dreary. The director at the time, Gary Thompson, asked that we come up with something more modern like the NFL logos were, and so we searched around and found our current tiger head and made quite a few modifications to it, and then that was our logo for a while. Then TPS was revamping school logos, and they added the circle and the type and everything else on it, and that's where we are.
Now, there was one more issue that had to be resolved, changing our logo. It had to be redesigned to include the word engineering, so 2 TTA students took on the task of incorporating the original logo and modifying it.
So the idea for the new logo was introduced to us by Mr. Arthur. He kind of explained the goals for what the logo was supposed to do for the new students, to attract them more, to kind of tell them what the school is about with our color orientation. Came up with about 75 different versions of this logo, got it approved by Miss Finley, and we kind of went from there.
That redesign of the logo led to changing it on all of our TTA attire. Polo shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, virtually everything that bears the logo. Although students are still welcome to wear items with our old design, the new wearables all feature the new logo.
With our uniform club, we have a set number of students. We have about 7 students in our club, and what they have to do is press every shirt for every student. Every student in this school, 320 of them, they have a jacket. They have 2 or 3 polos, and we have this team that comes together and they work together to make all of those shirts for every other student. It is a massive undertaking. We have moved rooms, and it has been a pleasure to work with a lot of the students that we have.
That team Mr. Arthur created has assumed the task of hot pressing our logos on all wearables. Until the new apparel room is done, they are working in the auditorium. To make the transition easier, we purchased a new silkscreen device. Until now, all of our printing was sent out. Now, once the screener is set up and running, we'll be able to produce all specialty items in-house.
The Uniform Club Committee was actually able to get a silk screener that Mr. Arthur bought us, and with that silk screener we can redesign our logo with our own special colors needed. Resin actually keeps the colors from bleeding through once we put it on the silk screener, and that way our logo will shine and pretty much come out neater than usual.
So, new name, new logo. Think of us now as Toledo Technology Academy of Engineering. But we're still the same great old school offering the best education around. Reporting for Focus, sporting new design, I'm Xavier Coleman.
The new name and logo are not all that's new. A portion of the school has been remodeled, and some rooms have been relocated to the first and second floors in the renovated areas. New rooms, brighter hallways, and improved restrooms. It's a good start. A few years ago, there was a popular TV show called Extreme Makeover, Home Edition. Focus reporter Andrew Shan takes you on a tour with our Extreme Makeover, School Edition.
Over the summer, there was a radical change to this part of the building of TTA. This is the new look, and it's a great one. The makeover is being done in phases, and what you see is just phase one. It's a brighter, cleaner look, and yet it retains some of the heritage of the former DeVilbiss High School. The renovated hallways are a vast improvement. They painted the lockers, changed the color scheme, and installed bright new lightings. We now have video monitors on both the first and second floors that allow us to promote events and happenings. The big change came in the classrooms, and probably the science labs are the most dramatic.
Well, they're much more updated than our previous labs. There's a lot of mobility. In fact, the previous labs, the lab stations were all stationary, but now we can move tables around. So that's going to allow us a lot more freedom to do a lot of different kinds of things. And we have just generally updated facilities, nice new materials to work with.
The change from the old to the new in classrooms is literally night and day. All new rooms have vastly improved lighting, new furniture, and updated technology. This makes teaching and learning much more enjoyable.
The new classrooms are brighter, more comfortable, more modern. They offer the students an opportunity to roll around, whether we're working on something in groups or doing whole class lectures. It's just overall a more comfortable experience in the classrooms.
Here's something we all appreciate. New restrooms on both floors. They are clean and a far cry from the old ones that are still in use. The construction crews started work during last school year, and they worked all summer to get the job done in time for the start of school. That was no easy task. Bob Stainbrook is the TTA building operator, and he had to coordinate moving a number of teachers from the old rooms to the new.
Quite an undertaking. We had many staff members here that assist me to do the duties of the building, cleaning and otherwise. During the summer, we do a lot of moving, especially with the construction. And what happens is when you get to the into this real world over here, you make do with what you got and get the job done as fast and as most efficiently as possible.
But the renovation is far from over. There are several more phases to go. One that's ongoing now is the total redesign of the entire area where Mr. Richardson's AE lab and the former security offices were located. This required Mr. Richardson to move to the old cafe in the interim.
I chose this as the best spot that I could deal with. We're down to about a third of the amount of space that we had when we were in the back. That's why everything is so cramped together in here.
Another project that is happening this year is the total redo of the main entrance. The old outdated doors will be removed and the new ones will be installed. The rendering shows what it will look like when it's completed, and they hope to have it done before the snow flies. Then, in the next few years, the rest of the building will take on the extreme makeover. And when it's all done, probably by the fall of 2026, it will be completed. One of the biggest changes was consolidating our footprint. That is, making us less spread out and giving us a more cohesive feel. I, for one, really like it. Reporting for Focus, I'm Andrew Shan.
Last spring, we revived an old TTA tradition that had been absent for a few years, the TTA Talent Show. There were so many good acts from students and faculty, but one really stood out, and that was an 8th grader with a voice that rocked the house. Liam Close has been acting and singing in local theatrical productions since he was just a young kid. Focus reporter Brendan Welly, who co-hosted last year's talent show, takes the stage and introduces you to the voice that roared.
I was the master of my fate. I never needed anybody in my life.
That song and that voice took the TTA audience by storm at last year's talent show. Liam Close has been singing and acting since he was just 5 years old, and his first show was in 2015 when he played as Pip in The Unprincess. Unquestionably, he's got a great voice. Last year, he was in the 8th grade, and now he's a freshman and continues to pursue his avocation of performing. So, how did it all begin?
My parents signed me up for a theater company called CTW when I was 6, and I just did a first show, and I loved it, and I've continued doing shows ever since.
So far, he has performed or starred in 17 shows, the majority with the Children's Theater Workshop. Most recently, he was in Beauty and the Beast, Shakespeare's Macbeth, George Gershwin's Crazy for You, and this summer he had the starring role in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
So being Willy Wonka was really fun. I was basically at every single rehearsal. I sang a lot. I was on stage. I had tons of paragraph-long lines, and I even had to do an awful cartwheels.
Liam has done many of his shows under the auspices of the Children's Theater Workshop. Amy Reed is the Executive Artistic Director.
So the Children's Theater Workshop is a nonprofit youth theater organization here in Toledo, and we do theater for children between the ages of 3 and 18, covering everything from acting to directing to playwriting to musical theater, technical theater. We do pretty much everything that's theater related, and the kids lead the way. What's great about Liam when he's been involved in the Children's Theater Workshop is he's been around since he was much younger, about 8 years old, and he's been fantastic in all of our productions, but watching him bloom in musical theater with his gorgeous voice has been really satisfying to watch.
With all the different shows Liam has done, he does have some favorites.
I enjoy doing musicals. Probably one of my favorite musicals I've ever done is actually Crazy for You because it was very challenging, especially dance-wise, and I actually learned how to do tap.
So, is this an ongoing thing with him? The answer is a resounding yes, and he has plans to continue his work in theater.
A show I'd really like to perform is called A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. It's basically about a dude who's killing a whole family just so he can get the inheritance. It's funny, and it has really good music.
This exceptional TTA student has the talent, and he's sure to make a name for himself in Toledo theater, and maybe even beyond. On the TTA stage, and I promise I won't sing, reporting for Focus, I'm Brendan Welly.
I co-hosted that show with Brendan, and I can assure you, we were all very impressed. Well, that's all for this edition of Focus. We hope you enjoyed the stories, and we plan to keep you informed about all the great happenings at TTA. If you have story ideas or suggestions, please email us at focus@toledotechnologyacademy.org. Focus is a production of the TTA video production classes. On behalf of the entire Focus crew, until next time, I'm Alan Peacock. Have a great day.